Please remember to like, subscribe and comment, as we love to hear back from our viewers. Also, if you enjoy our videos, please consider becoming a patron of our show through Patreon and or GoFundMe. Links are listed below the video in the description. From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gerry Kissell.
Mind it? I don't mind it as long as they don't change the characters.
Yes.
But I'm guaranteeing you, and Susan said it too, bet you give money.
Well, they're going to have the little brother being in a relationship with one or both frog girls. That's the only reason to do that.
Anyway, hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield with Keith.
And Gerry.
And we're going to be talking about, well, obviously we already started talking, you could hear us, and we're talking about the delays on Lost Boys TV series. And we saw this coming a while back when
we first talked about it.
Yeah, it's like, this is just not going to work, they're going to have problems. And of course, now they've got delays for just the pilot, they're reworking stuff. Well, you have a great story already. And you got to change stuff? Why do you got to change stuff?
I'm all about adding new characters, but now they're doing things where,
especially with episodic TV, adding characters is always smart.
It is a smart thing, but the thing is, there's not that much you really need to do with the script for the film. I get adding characters, but it's a pretty simple script. Giving the character that let's see, it was. Given the main vampire his own vampire opposite female.
Oh, that was dumb. Like, when we saw that, it was like, really? The whole thing about the show was finding out who the main vampire was.
Yeah.
You know, bring that shit in later. Why are you doing that at the beginning?
Yeah. And then coming up with, and then making sure to change the original premise with a mother and her two sons moving back home was the fact that she had gotten divorced.
Yeah, the dad wasn't there anymore. Not that he died, it was a divorce.
It was a divorce.
That's right.
Making him dead changes the tone a little bit. Now, I get it. You're wanting to bring in some heavy drama. But then they made up this whole backstory for the mom as to the reason why she left and her first marriage. And you guys are really just... I'm getting into I don't care land, and
there's a simple rule in writing, and Josh Becker taught it to me 25 years ago, and he said, every bit of your dialogue, every bit of your plot movement is there for one reason and one reason only, to push the story forward. If it has nothing to do with the story, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing it? And this is usually one of the quickest signs of bad writing. That's why, like, I forget her name now, Heather, I think, or something. This writer, she was a comedian for The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely a shitty writer. I mean, why is she writing The Twilight Zone? The Twilight Zone was the forefront of science fiction on television.
Yeah, you had some of the biggest and greatest writers of really literature and science fiction that wrote for that show under Rod Serling. And so
Rod Serling wrote most of the scripts, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
But he was a real showrunner, and he wanted to work with the best science fiction writers of the time.
And here's my other thing, because let me add on to that.
It seems like we're going off on a tangent, but this will come around, so stay with us on this.
All those people that know that we have a problem with Star Trek Discovery, here's my biggest issue. There are a lot of fantastic female science fiction writers.
Tons of them.
Tons of them that could write the heck out of that show.
Yes, if it's virtue signaling is their primary goal, then go hire female science fiction writers that know what they're doing.
That would improve the show
Heather
immensely.
Heather Campbell is the writer on the Twilight Zone. She is, and Glenn, I forget his last name. He was one of the writers and producers off of the X-Files. And I found it funny that the 2 episodes that I thought were halfway good to actually good were penned by him. And of course, she gets a co-credit on there, but I could tell where he wrote in there because he wrote real science fiction in there.
Yeah.
But when she's writing the science fiction, like this last night's episode, ridiculous. It is the single where it's absolutely about some social commentary about anti-masculinity. That's all it is. It's anti-masculinity, which if you're going to write something like that and you want to do it Rod Serling's way, you do it in such a clever way that the audience goes, oh, at the end they go, oh, I get it. But he didn't browbeat his audience.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're browbeating part of your audience. Browbeating him for being masculine. It's so goofy.
There are so many female science fiction writers that happen to be female that have written for decades Star Trek books. If you can't pick up a book or go through the list of all those authors,
Joe Tremble.
There you go.
I've known her, sweetheart, amazing sci-fi writer. She's the reason why we got the Star Trek movies. She pretty much alone saved Star Trek, and she's brilliant. How she's not involved? Heck, we have a writer right here in town, Diana Botsford, very good writer. She wrote one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek when Captain Picard gets stuck on the.
I thought it was the one about the living ship.
No, she wrote the one where they're on the elevator, the turbo.
Oh yeah,
and
Rascals.
He's stuck there with the kids.
Yeah.
And everybody's stuck in different parts of the ship, and Kiko has her baby.
Yeah.
That was Diana Botsford, and lives here right in town. We've known her for years.
Actually, she doesn't live here anymore.
Oh, did she move?
Yeah, she's in Texas.
All my exes live in Texas.
She's good people.
Yeah, she's a good writer. But basically, coming back now, going full circle, back to Lost Boys.
Yeah.
They've obviously got people who don't know what they're doing again. And they're putting too much plot. Plot isn't story. Go read a book.
Repeat that again. Repeat that.
Plot isn't story.
Do you have that?
J.J. Abrams has fooled everybody because he loves plot twists. He loves them. M. Night Shyamalan at least understands that the plot twist belongs at the end of your damn movie like Rod Serling always did. Give the plot twist at the end. That way you don't get goofy in the middle. And J.J. Abrams, plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. And his films are primarily, that's why Star Trek Into Darkness failed. Because it was just plot twist. There was no character story. There was no character arc.
You had set up for characters.
Set up for it, but none in it. And then it's followed through with nothing but plot twist and plot twist and plot twist. And it's like, and you wonder why it failed. Well,
and then you have Star Trek Discovery that's nothing more than just an attempt at storytelling, but everything has to be punctuated by emotion.
Oh my God, the whole, it's like Michael Burnham crying. I love that video that got put out. It's like every single time she cries, it's so funny. It's like 7 minutes of her crying. And I'm like going, I hated it when I had to watch it in pockets, and now you put it all together in one video. I couldn't make it to the end, brother. I couldn't make it to the end. But they're trying to tell you, you need to care about this character, instead of allowing us to care about the character by writing good stories. And this is part of the problem. And I think it was Midnight's Edge that brought this up, that, and I love his accent. I don't know where he's from. And it just is sort of, he goes into this, and that's when they expect us to like the care about this character who had no story before this one. And then all of a sudden this cyborg woman is important to us because Michael Burnham cries and because whatever her name is, the female engineer, showed so much passion. They loved her, so we obviously must love her. No, it's not how it works. We love a character when we get to slowly see them interacting with somebody, and we begin to connect with them, connecting with them. Josh Becker, again, another great lesson I learned from him. It's easy to write characters that people don't care about. It's just lazy writing. What's hard is to write characters that people give a crap about. And they don't want to do that. They want to circumvent doing that and just go straight to this emotional stuff, and it falls flat every single time. Only gullible people fall for that. And if you like Star Trek Discovery, I'm sorry, you're gullible. You're gullible. You bought that stuff hook, line, and sinker. Well, most people discern that and go, you're just trying to manipulate me.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
Which is really what passes for a lot of good writing. Look, let me at least just give you this much. A show like This Is Us, there is a reason why they're able to do what they do. It's a successful show. You've combined it with good writing and good characters. By hiring people that are acting like they're writing for This Is Us, but instead you're writing Star Trek Discovery, you're doing a disservice to both. Because you're not actually playing to the strengths of either one of those. You're trying to combine two things and make it one. So you want to take This Is Us and combine it with Star Trek. That's not going to work. And obviously it hasn't with quite a few of us.
Which was the big flaw with Kurtzman when he decided to follow the same concept of the one story arc for the season.
Yeah.
Because it really limits the ability of seeing these characters go through different situations. But that was the great thing about
Star Trek.
Bottle episodes in particular. Bottle episodes or classic Star Trek episodes where they got to travel to other planets and you'd see the three-person party dealing with stuff. And of course, in classic Star Trek, it was the Holy Trinity of Kirk, Spock, McCoy. And it was in that order of their popularity. People, look, I was a Spock fan, but everybody that knows classic Star Trek knows that Kirk was number one.
He was in charge.
He was in charge. So coming back to Lost Boys, we have this same, we can see it in the way that with the bad stuff happening right now with the reshoots and reworking stuff, I guarantee you that's exactly what they did again.
It's the same problem that they're having with Picard right now. They're having problems behind the scenes because you have different people working on the show that have divided into their own factions.
Yeah, they're factions.
And
they're
it's like
factions.
So now you have actual factions on a Picard show. I've never heard of that in the history of Star Trek. Where
no,
you have the writers.
No, they did have it. They did have it with Next Generation.
Oh, good point.
It did happen there, and it really damn near sunk the ship. They had a lot of problems coming out of the second season because you had Gene Roddenberry, Gene Roddenberry's attorney, who was a crazy dude, and he was lying and sneaking around and spying on people, spying on them and sneaking in their offices when they weren't around. Because B. Joe Trimble talked about that shit.
Oh yeah.
There's that name again I brought up earlier, B. Joe Trimble, and of course the secretary who Gene Roddenberry had his affair with also took umbrage with it because she caught him in the office too, and then of course you had the main writers who were saying, Gene, we love your passion about not having conflict with the characters, that they have advanced as a civilization, but you're taking away the one thing you need in episodic television, conflict. You're telling us that we can't have conflict, that all conflict has to be external.
You know, it would make a heck of a lot more sense to just go ahead and fire everybody behind the scenes in Discovery and just go ahead and hire J. Michael Straczynski, who ironically was the head guy that they had writing Twilight Zone back in the 80s.
Which was a good iteration of the series.
Yes.
It really was. That first episode, right out of the bat with Bruce Willis playing himself, there are two versions of himself. Something happened and they exist at the same time, and one of them is going to take over. Which one is it? It's like a multiverse. It was a great episode. And they did it in 29 minutes, or was it 22? I think it was 29-minute episode. Yeah. And it was a really good episode.
Between that one and the Once and Future King episode, which was a classic episode This is in the 80s. That if you've never seen it, you need to check that out. It's a classic episode. Once in Future King. That is phenomenal. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with King Arthur, but you will enjoy it. Trust me.
And what's really interesting is how this again. I'm doing a Mike Zero thing. What's really interesting here? I love that guy, but he's always what's intriguing here. What is interesting about all of this and how it all comes back full circle again
to Lost Boys
is the major problem in Hollywood right now, whether it's television or film, is in the writing. And with the studios giving too much rope in some areas and then also pulling in the reins in the wrong areas. Whereas they need to pull the reins in here and give them rope in the creativity department. Let the writers do what they do and fire all those idiots that don't know how to write. Because almost everybody that you see working on episodic television today are pretty much idiots.
Some people
I hate saying it.
Yeah, some people are just stealing money.
Yeah,
you're collecting a paycheck. You're just stealing money.
I guarantee you, some of those guys are like going, "Why haven't they fired me yet? I'm really a hack writer," and half of those guys really are hack writers and women. I want to be fair here. Did I cisgender somebody? I'm sorry. They.
Look, I hope they figure it out because I'm not against having a Lost Boys television series. I just wanted to.
No, I got excited when I'm like, oh, because the concept demanded a series. I mean, just the ending of that film was like, that was the best setup for a sequel I'd seen in a long time. It's like, the only thing that's wrong with Santa Clarita, or whatever they call the town, is all the goddamn vampires. And I'm like, oh my God, Grandpa!
I don't even know who they've casted as Grandpa in this iteration.
No, they have not let it out yet, who they've cast. We still don't even know about the kid. We still don't know about Sam. We don't know anything.
We don't know anything. I guarantee you, though, their plan in having the Frog brothers become the Frog sister was to have Sam have a relationship with one or both of them.
I'm wondering with the name Sam if they're going to switch it to a female.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
They already talked about that. It's brothers.
Okay, good.
So
because once again, I have no problem with gender flipping if it makes sense within a story.
Yes.
But because in one of my own stories, I did that. I gender flipped a character. I'm like, this character would be more interesting and different as a female rather than as a male. This combatant.
Yeah.
Because I write a lot of military stuff. And the fact is, I knew a lot of females I served with in the military, and a couple of them were badass. I got a busted lip and a bloody nose from one, just messing around one day, goofing around. And she hit me hardest I've probably been hit by anybody. I saw like flash of light. It was hard.
Lots of big stars.
Yeah. So, it's like, I got to tell you, man, women can be badass.
Oh, yeah.
And
heck yeah. Choose wisely and write well.
Write characters that are strong characters. And characters aren't strong if you don't show them being strong with other people. That's why this whole modern feminist attitude of make it all women. Make it all women. We don't want men in there. Well, how can you show that they're equal without having somebody in there to show who they're equal with? That is why I've always said the best feminist films always have a strong male in the story. So the woman has someone to show that she's strong with. And I love that. Jane Fonda always worked that way back in the old days. How people, and not that I'm a Jane Fonda fan, because I'm not, but she's done some great films. As an actress, she's amazing. I just don't like her as a person. But when she did, what was that, Electric Cowboy, was that?
Yeah.
I loved her presence with him. She really...
Well, she and Redford have chemistry.
Great chemistry.
For days.
Yeah, because they did Barefoot in the Park together.
Yeah.
What a great film.
Hey, kids, side note, if you've never seen Barefoot in the Park, check it out.
It's good storytelling.
It's good storytelling.
Very good storytelling. And if you want to see how writing is supposed to work, those movies that I don't want to watch that. That's an old movie. Go watch them because it shows you how to do proper story structure. Shows you how the classic three-act play. It's like there are rules that are established in writing that those early screenwriters really nailed, which came from stage.
Yeah.
Which is, you don't introduce a main character after the first 20 minutes of your story, or 20 pages, because every page is equal to a minute in the script.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't introduce a main character, which is why I just watched, what's his name? The Hateful Eight on Netflix. They broke it up into 4 episodes.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed it. I felt it was really better this way. The problem is he left in the 3rd episode that string of oddly placed, disruptive, I'm using that word exactly what I mean, disruptive narration.
Mm-hmm.
Where he just, Quentin Tarantino it's sort of like, had an open mic. And that's when the character did this. And that character was doing that. Well, show us, why? There's no narration anywhere else in this film except for in that one scene. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And he had an opportunity to fix that. And he left it in there. But despite that, the way they broke it up made more sense. But they made a huge mistake as a structure of a film by introducing a main character in the 3rd act. The guy who would shoot them from the cellar.
Yeah.
Even though Sam Jackson calls it a basement, they didn't actually call them basements back then.
You know, that's the reason why I love the movie Murder by Death. Murder by Death?
Yes.
Because it makes...
Which is a play on the title Murder by Decree.
Yep.
And I love it's a great film. Truman Capote is in it.
Wow.
Look, Peter Falk.
I know that there's a lot of you, especially those of you who are under 30, that would think that, that movie Clue.
What are they talking about?
That movie Clue is so original because it's based on the game.
No. Don't get me wrong, that's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie, but you would have no movie like that had it not been for Murder by Death. Because that's where the screenwriters got a majority of their ideas was from Murder by Death. And Murder by Death makes fun of a lot of mystery writers who end up breaking a lot of rules. And the 3rd act of that movie, where Truman Capote's character gives this huge speech, everybody that writes for Star Trek Discovery or any other television show should watch that.
Or the Lost Boys.
Or the Lost Boys. You should watch that to learn what not to do. And they tell you, don't do that. So... I guess this is going to be just a, This is just us ranting. Yeah, rant session.
Old guys ranting about stuff.
Get off my lawn.
Get up. Clint Eastwood. Kind of, it's like, you see that meme I made where it's got like one of the evil clowns, like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he stands up and I have him say, "What kind of clown do you take me for?" And then the shot from the movie where he's out in the lawn telling people to get off his lawn with a shotgun. He's like, "What kind of clown do you take me for?" And he goes, "The dead kind." I got a lot of laughs on that meme. It's like, they're like, "Dude, that's funny." I'm like, I know. But that's pretty much it. This is the problem we have today, and this is really what today's rant was about. It was not about a particular show, even though really we started with The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
What we have is a major shit show going on in the entertainment industry of people who don't know shit about telling stories. And what they're interested in, and he talks about this all the time, is the intellectual properties, IPs. They're interested in IPs. That's why you see so many reboots, because it's not about being creative. It's about intellectual properties.
That's right.
And we know that this can generate money. And that's our thing. We want to generate money to keep the wheel going.
And it isn't just movies. It's movies,
TV,
television shows, plays. Look, don't you think that having a play that was originally an animated movie, that's more about the IP and not about the idea?
And then, after it becomes a popular Broadway musical, make it into a live-action film, even though it's still technically animated, but with CG? I mean, we're not calling anybody out on this one. You know, it's just, I mean, there are just so many films out there that are stolen from a Japanese animated lion story from the 60s. And with that, I guess we can wrap this episode up. That's Keith.
That's Gerry.
And we're two old bitchy guys talking about nerd stuff. Pop Culture Minefield.
Get off our lawn.
Get up the Lord. See you guys next time. See you at Visioncon. Check us out, Visioncon.
Y'all come back now, you hear?